Hey there, writer rebels. What do you do with all those old copies of your books that are cluttering up your shelves? Well, join me today and we'll talk about some ways to reuse and repurpose some of those books. Hey there, everyone. It's me, Scarlett Kol, young adult author, YouTuber, and storyteller. And today we are going to be talking about all of those old books that you have sitting on your shelves as writers. I know I have a ton of them, proof copies, errors, misprints, all that kind of stuff. So what can you do with them? I know myself, I don't necessarily want to just throw them away. So what can you do with those books to give them new life? And we are going to talk about that in just a second. But before we do, I just want to thank all my subscribers for coming back and watching my videos week after week. Thank you so much. If you want to be a subscriber, easy thing to do, hit that subscription bar and the notification bell below this video. And while you're down there, hit the thumbs up and let YouTube know this is something worth watching. All right, so I don't know about you, but I have these books that sit on my shelf and they kind of bother me because they are just not necessarily usable within their state. So the first kind we usually have is this proof copy. If you get your proof copies from Amazon, you will see that they have this like not for sale thing that's on here. Some people will do their proofing and actually write within the proof copy itself. I typically don't. So this is actually a relatively clean copy, except for you can see that the cover is off a little bit, but this is essentially the final book that I released. It doesn't have any changes. It doesn't have any pen marks in it. So this is something that's just kind of sitting there and taking up space. Also, there are often misprints. I don't know if you can kind of see right here. You can see the black here because they did print off the page. How it's not supposed to be. You can see it's all cut off here. So obviously I can't sell this, but what do I do with it? I also have old covers. I'm sure if you've been at this game for a while, you may have changed your covers several times. So this is the old cover of Keeper of Shadows, and this is the new cover, but I still have copies with the old cover on it. And then sometimes you do have books where there was just an error and you had to reprint them, but you'd already ordered some of the copies. So those ones are probably the most unfortunate because they are as pretty much a finished product, but you just know that they aren't right. All right, so what are we gonna do with them? Number one, sell them. I know this is probably a controversial issue, but some people do this and some people don't. It really just depends on how comfortable you are with having your work the way that it is out in the world. There are a lot of authors that will sell their old covers, especially if they're doing stuff online at a discount. So for instance, these ones, if I'm selling them online, I might sell this book for $15, whereas this one might just be $5 or $10 just to get rid of those old covers. So that's something you can easily do. If you are doing author signings, this is a great opportunity to have like a bargain basket or a bargain bin where you put books in there that have old covers or something like that that you want to kind of get out of your inventory. And there could be some of those people who are looking for a deal, especially if they're coming to large conventions. They're probably buying a lot of books, a lot of different things. So they might be willing to take a chance on an unknown author for a $5 book than they would for the same book for $10 or $15. You can also do that with your proofs if you are comfortable doing that, if the book is in relatively good shape. So if this is one of the ones where you were just checking to make sure that everything was okay and you don't have writing or anything in it and it's pretty much the same finished product, you could definitely sell it as a proof copy for only a few dollars, but at least you're going to make some of that money back. There are some authors that are more comfortable with selling books that do have errors in them or formatting problems or something like that, and they typically will mark them as either proof copies or ARC copies. I don't know if you've seen a traditionally published ARC copy, but if you do see an ARC copy from a traditional publisher, it says, you know, like usually not for resale on it, this is an unedited copy of the book. Personally, I'm not sure if I would be super comfortable having an unedited version of a book out there, but depending on how much of a change your edits are from one book to another, then this might be some way to recoup some of that cost. So if you do have a book where you made changes because it was just some slight errors, you might want to mark them as like ARC or proof copies and sell them cheaper if you don't mind a few typos or whatever affecting that, especially if it is marked that, this is an unedited version. If somebody wants to buy that, I guess that's really up to them. But you can recoup some of those costs that you would have put into those original books. Number 2 is relatively a quick one. It's very similar. It's basically just to donate them. You aren't going to be making a lot of money back, but at least you're not throwing these books away. And if it is just a cover change or a formatting change or something like that, then there are going to be places that will really appreciate donated books. I know there are some like not-for-profit organizations that'll take donations of books, or if it's just an old cover, you might want to donate it to a library or something like that. So that's also an easy option, but it kind of depends on your level of comfort, similar to sales, of whether or not you want those things out in the universe. If it's an old cover, you've been selling it that way anyway. So what's the big deal of having 1 or 2 more books in circulation? But it really just comes down to your comfort level as an author and what you want to see out in the world. Number 3, social media. So obviously, a lot of people, you've probably seen their beautiful Instagram feeds or really cool TikTok videos and stuff like that. But there's always things that I don't necessarily want to do with my printed books because I don't want to wreck them. I have personal copies of my own books that I keep and I don't want them wrecked, or the copies that I am using, I'm planning to sell them somewhere down the road, so I don't want them wrecked either. So I can definitely use these misprinted books within my social media. If it's an old cover, this isn't necessarily something that you can do very well. But if you have something like a misprint like this one, then I could put this in a snowbank and take a picture. And if this book gets wrecked, I don't care. It's not going to impact my inventory. It's not going to cost me anymore because I can't really sell it anyway. If I want to take some pictures near water and I'm worried about the books getting possibly a little bit wet, I don't have to worry about this copy. If you want to do some of those videos that we've seen on TikTok where they're throwing a book or it's being dropped or something like that, and you're worried about damaging your spines or bending pages or something like that, you can do that with these books because nobody can tell that anything's wrong with it. If I did not show you this piece right here, you would not know that there's anything wrong with this book. So I could use this for, live streams. I can throw it in my trunk of my car if I need to use it for, pictures or displays or anything like that. So you can definitely utilize these things for social media. You can also use some of the bits and pieces as well. So one of the things I keep on me is I have some of the pages from that book actually that I have ripped out. And when I'm doing like an Instagram layout or something like that, I can put all of my pages on the floor and then put something else on top of it. I can put other books on top of it. It gives a really nice aesthetic to the photos and things that I'm doing, and it can be really, really fun. The other thing that I did is at Valentine's Day, I actually cut little hearts out. So they were hearts with the words on them, and used those within my social media. I made cute little banners with them, and it just made things pop just a little bit more. It was something fun and different that I could do, but I wouldn't want to do this with a book that I knew somebody was going to read, that I have a book on my shelf. I wouldn't want to destroy a book that is totally readable. But for one that I know is totally off the page and nobody be able to actually finish reading it, I don't mind cutting out these pages. I could technically recycle them too when I'm done. I think I would have to check recycling in your state, province, or country where you're at. But without the cover, I think they're probably okay to recycle if you needed to. So the fourth thing you can do with these books is to create swag and specialties for your fans. So there's a lot of various different things. All you need to do is Google anything to do with book pages, and you are going to find hundreds of thousands of ideas. One of the ones I've seen very common in shows is that they will take the book pages and they will turn them into roses. And a lot of people really like these book roses that you can get, and they're very, very cute. Some of them will paint the edges. They're really, really beautiful. If you just want to Google it, you're going to find dozens of pictures of them. And this is something that you can easily give away at your tables if you do signings very often. And it can be just a fun thing to do if you are a crafter. You can keep some of them in your office. It would also look really cute on social media. And it just kind of has that writerly vibe kind of thing, which is really great. The other one that I see very common is bookmarks. So basically you could take a page and you could cut it into like a rectangular shape, however wide or whatever that you wanted to. And then you could either leave it just like that. One thing I've seen is authors sign it, like maybe take a red or green or silver, gold, whatever Sharpie, sign your name on the bottom, and then basically just laminate it. And if you want, you can add a little tassel. If not, you don't have to. You can just laminate it. And it's a very cheap and easy bookmark that you can give to people that's completely personalized. You can go a little bit more over the top if you want. You can use stamps to, I've seen ones that say like read on it or book or something like that. That's very, very simple, cheap and easy stuff you can get at the dollar store if you don't already have it. And then those people that are a little bit more artistic could do something. If you want, you could like line draw leaves or vines or flowers or swords or whatever it is that works with your genre. Basically something similar to this. This isn't an actual page, but you kind of get the idea where you have the page in behind and then you would have kind of this line drawing over top. So if you are artistic by any stretch of the imagination, I am not, so I probably wouldn't do this. But if you have any talent to be able to do those sorts of things, then that might be something you want to do. Another way I've seen them done before you laminate them is basically taking a strip of paper or painting it a color, just a couple of swipes, and then putting an actual book quote on top of it and then laminating that all together. So you kind of have that book page in the back, a little splash of color, and then an actual quote from the book. So those can be really great personalized bookmarks and super cheap and easy to do. So you could make a ton of them based on books that you already have. The words in the back, depending on which pages you pick and how open you leave it, it can be very obvious that it is from that book, and you can give them away when people are purchasing those books, and can be very easy and effective way to do something that's very personal for those fans without costing you a lot of money. If you do shipped orders, you can also take book pages, depending if you've cut it a little bit better than I have, you can use them as envelopes for thank you cards, or you can turn them into thank you cards themselves by putting a different piece of paper on the inside, putting a stamped little image on the outside or a drawing. And then if you have just like plain cardstock on the inside, you can write your little message and send that to them. So this can be something that your fans really, really enjoy, and something that you were basically just going to throw away anyway. And the fifth thing you could do with your book pages is decor. So there's lots of things that you could probably do around your office that you could use your book pages for. You could basically pretty much decoupage them onto anything, any surface that you wanted to. If you've got an old bookshelf, you could make it writerly by putting your pages on the outside. You could do picture frames, the frames of a whiteboard or a bulletin board or something like that. If you do have a bulletin board or whiteboard, you can take the little clear magnets and put your book pages in behind them and a magnet on the back, and you can create magnets for your whiteboards or anything that you have metal that you want to have magnets for. You could, if you were into that sort of country chic kind of thing, you've probably seen tutorials for paper wreaths. You could do a book page wreath. That would look really, really awesome. It'd be really cool in like a foyer or within your office if that kind of style speaks to you. If you have an old stool or something like that, if you need storage, you could definitely get those, you know, photo boxes or even just a shoebox and decoupage the outside of it with book pages and then give it that writerly look. So there are tons of things that you can do within your own home or within your own office to use up the book pages in your books. If you are particularly proud of a book, you could obviously cut out like the first page or the title page or something like that and frame it. If this is something that, you know, maybe it's the first time you hit the USA Today or you hit the New York Times, or it's the first book that you published, or it's just something really cool that you're proud of. Or you can have a collection of all your first pages of all of your books, depending on what you want to do. So there's lots of different things you can be doing with those book pages within your office. That first page thing is also something you could do as swag for your readers if you have a particularly good selling series or one that's very, very popular and you have a lot of page ones that are in good shape. You could cut those out, sign them, and provide them to your readers. I'm sure there's going to be some people out there or super fans or something like that that would really, really enjoy having that kind of piece within their own home or within their own collection. So this is something to definitely consider. It could be a fun little giveaway thing or put in with some other swag, bookmarks, all that kind of stuff. So there are definitely a ton of things you can do with these old books and book pages. So make sure that you're using them to their full potential. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, but I thought it was something that I was definitely going through right now. I have a bunch of books. I'm really not sure what to do with them. I didn't really just want to get rid of them. So I started coming up with some ideas of what I could do with these books and where I could use them. And I do see this stuff online periodically where people is like, oh my God, I have this box of ruined books from insert publisher here, and what am I going to do with them? So I wanted to put out a video that kind of gives some options of various different things that you could do. If you have some other ideas of what you can do with your book pages or book covers or books that you know you aren't going to be using, then leave those in the comments below and everybody can learn some new ideas. If you liked this video, make sure you're hitting a thumbs up to let YouTube know this is something worth watching. And if you want to see more content from me, make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.